Hare Krishna. Welcome to Bhagavad Gita series. And we are on chapter 7. Hopefully we can complete chapter 7 today. We'll see.
You look very fresh today.
Thank you. So, yeah, let us start. I will share my...
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna. So, let us start. Let me share my screen and see how that works. Okay, hopefully you can see the screen sharing.
Yes, we can see the screen.
Okay, very good.
And you are looking so good today.
Okay, thank you. Okay.
We are really blessed to have you.
Thank you. I'm blessed to have you all. Really. You give me a chance to read Bhagavad Gita and Srimad Bhagavatam and speak something about it. So what better than that? Okay, let us recite the Mangalacharan prayers. I think you can see this. Om Ajnanatimirandhasya Jnananjanashalakaya Chakshurunmilitam Yena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha. Shri Chaitanya Manobhishtam Sthapitam Yena Bhutale Swayam Rupa Kadamahyam Dadati Swapadantikam. Vandeham Shri Guru Shri Yuta Padakamalam Shri Gurun Vaishnavamscha. Shri Rupam Sagrajatam Sahagana Raghunathanvitam Tam Sajivam Sadvaitam Savadhutam Parijana Sahitam Krishna Chaitanya Devam Shri Radha Krishna Padan Sahagana Lalita Shri Vishakhan Vitamscha Namo Vishnu Padaya Krishna Pristhaya Bhutale Srimate Bhakti Vedanta Swami Niti Namine Namaste Saraswati Devi Gauravani Pracharine Nirvishesha Shunyavadi Paschatya Desha Tarine He Krishna Karuna Sindho Deenabandho Jagatpate Gopesha Gopika Kanta Radha Kanta Namostute Tapta Kanchana Gaurangi Radhe Vrindavaneshwari Vrishabhanu Sute Devi Pranamami Hari Priye Vanchakalpatarubhyascha Kripa Sindhubhya eva cha Patitanam Pavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namo Namaha. Jaya Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhara Shrivasadi Gaura Bhakta Vrinda. Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare. Srila Prabhupada ki jai. Okay, very good. So today we are going to cover some very important parts of chapter 7. And as usual, please set aside everything else. Don't multitask. Find a quiet, peaceful place with your Bhagavad Gita and listen carefully. And if possible, turn on your videos. Gives a more interactive feeling to me, at least. If not possible, that's okay. All right, so we will go to our beloved Jamboard and start our class. Okay, very nice. Okay, so we are on chapter 7 and we completed till 7.19. So we have to do from 7.20 onwards. This chapter has 30 verses. So hopefully we will see. We will try to cover up to 7.30 today. We'll see how far we get. So Lord Krishna has described pure devotional service or Eka Bhaktir, Nitya Yukta Eka Bhakti in chapter or in verse number 7.17. Lord Krishna described Nitya Yukta Eka Bhakti, which means that always engaged Nitya Yukta in Eka Bhakti to Krishna, in exclusive Bhakti to Lord Krishna. And Lord Krishna says that such a devotee is Vishishyate, is very special and I love him and such a devotee loves me. So there is this bi-directional bond of relationship with him. Now in that verse 7.16, the previous verse, Lord Krishna had described three other kind of devotees: Artha, Artharthi, and Jigyasu. So Artha, Artharthi, and Jigyasu. Jigyasu means curious, Artharthi means desirer of wealth, and Artha means one who wants to get rid of some problems or wants to get some relief. So he wants relief, he wants benefits, and he is curious. So there are these three type of people who want these kind of things, and they come to Krishna. Chaturvidha bhajante mam. So Lord Krishna says Chaturvidha, the four types of people, and the fourth is Jnani. So, but the important point is bhajante mam. So these people do bhajante mam. Mam means Krishna. So there are these people who are still going to Lord Krishna, but with some material motive. But at least they are going to Krishna. And in 7.18, Lord Krishna calls them Udar. Udar means magnanimous. But then he says that, yes, these three are magnanimous. They are very good because at least they are taking my name. They are thinking of me. But still the best one is the Nitya Yukta Eka Bhakti is still the best one. So that is how this goes. Now in 7.20, so before that, these three are called as sakama bhaktas. Sakama. And you understand by now what is sakama. Sakama means they have some desire for some material benefits, some material sense gratification. As you can see from here, relief or some benefits, or they are just curious, which is also a sense gratification. If you are curious and you come to know what it is, then that is gratifying your senses. So these are sakama bhaktas, but these are sakama bhaktas of Krishna. That is the important part. Of Krishna. Sakama bhakta of Krishna. Now, in 7.20 to 7.23, 4 verses, a different type of sakama bhakta is described. These people also have material desires, but they don't go to Krishna. They go to devatas, devis and devatas, and especially here, I would say other devatas. And Krishna also says the word, exactly the word other devatas, anya devata. So what happens to them? That is the question. So I hope I have explained the context of 7.20 to 23 clearly. I built up the discussion that, yes, there were sakama bhaktas that were discussed in 7.16. Yes, they were discussed, but they were sakama bhaktas of Krishna. And we discussed how slowly and gradually Krishna brings them to the level of pure devotees by bringing them in association of other pure devotees. So, but these are sakama bhaktas of Krishna. Now we will talk about sakama bhaktas of other devatas, anya devata, and what happens to them. So that is the context of this whole discussion, the first part of today's class, 4 verses. 7.20 to 7.23. What happens to sakama bhaktas of, what happens to sakama bhaktas of anya devatas? Okay, this is the question, and the answer will be provided in 7.20 to 7.23. So I hope I have set up the context of the discussion clearly. Okay, so let us go to 7.20. 7.20. What does it say? Tamaistair hita jnana prapadyante anya devatah tam niyamam asthaya prakritya niyatah svaya. So this is the first verse, and Lord Krishna is saying kamaistair hrita jnana. So due to kamais, tair, various, tair means various, kama, material desires. Due to some material desires, such people, prapadyante, I will come to hrita jnana in just a second. Prapadyante anya devata. So again the word prapadyante is coming. It just came in the previous verse. Vasudeva, what is that? Bahunam janmanamante jnanavan mam prapadyate. So there it was mam prapadyate. Here there is prapadyante anya devata, which means they are surrendering or they are trying to approach anya devata. So this word anya devata is very important. And such people are hrita jnana. Hrita jnana. So this is an important word here. So what is some of the main emphasis of 7.20, verse number 7.20? These such people are hrita jnana. And hrita jnana means their jnana has been hrita. Hrita means stolen or it doesn't exist. So they are people who have, these people have no knowledge, no jnana. Or in other words, we can say no real knowledge. And why? Lord Krishna will explain in the next few verses why these people are called as hrita jnana, but these people are really do not have the right kind of knowledge, and therefore they go and surrender to other devatas, or they approach other devatas. Tam niyamam asthaya. So according to their faith, their procedures, their niyamam, asthaya, they put their astha, they put their faith according in the regulations, the niyama of those devatas. Prakritya niyatah svaya. And all this is happening because of their own nature, svaya, the nature of the people, because they are so conditioned by sense gratification, by material desires, that they go to, even you tell them about Krishna, that going to Krishna is the highest path, they say, no, I want to go to devatas because they fulfill my desires quickly, my material desires. So material desires take precedence for them rather than Krishna bhakti. So because of their own nature, prakritya niyata svaya, because of that, so the other aspect is they are averse to Krishna bhakti, and they are very attached to sense objects or sense gratification. Due to their past conditioning. So they're very attached to that prakritya niyata svaya, and then they go to the anya devata, they surrender to the anya devatas. So this is what is happening. Lord Krishna is saying in this verse, that these people, because of their sense gratification desires, they surrender to the anya devata. Such people have no knowledge, and they follow the rules and regulations of those other devatas because of their past conditioning to the attachment to sense gratification. So the translation given by Srila Prabhupada is, those whose intelligence has been stolen by material desires, stolen, hrita jnana, by material desires, kama istair, surrender unto the demigods, prapadyante anya devata, and follow the particular rules and regulations, tam tam niyamam asthaya, of worship according to their own natures, prakritya niyata swaya. So the whole verse is clear, I hope. Okay. So this is what is happening.
Past conditioning here exactly.
Due to past conditioning of sense gratification, that if you tell them that the higher taste is Krishna Bhakti, they will say, no, no, Krishna Bhakti I will do in next life. This life I want to enjoy my senses. And the other part is in the Puranas. Now, this can be a longer question, or sometime later we can take, or in some detailed Q&A time we can take. But in other Puranas, there are various types of Puranas. Now, the Purana that we follow is Srimad Bhagavatam, or it is also known as Bhagavat Purana. Okay. But there are other Puranas which describe the process, the methods for surrendering to the other devatas. There is Devi Purana, there is many other Puranas. Now there are various Puranas like Vishnu Purana, Padma Purana, Narsimha Purana. They are all in the category of what are known as surrendering or going to Lord Vishnu. But there are other Puranas like that, which describe to go to the other devatas. And the main point is that by following those instructions in those Puranas, people get benefits quickly. They get benefits faster, but they get only material benefits. In the Srimad Bhagavatam, there is nowhere, zero instances where it is mentioned that by going to Krishna or by worshipping Vishnu, you will get material benefits. Zero instances, zero cases, or zero instances, or that it is said that if you worship Krishna, or the purpose of worshipping Krishna or Vishnu is to get material benefits. That does not exist. Now, devotees who are worshipping Krishna may automatically, as a byproduct, get material opulence. That is fine. Krishna gives, Krishna can give anything. And we will see here in the next few verses that even for worshipping the demigods, whatever benefits the demigods, the devatas give are ultimately coming from Krishna only. So that part aside, we'll deal with that in the next few verses. But nowhere in the Srimad Bhagavatam or anywhere it is mentioned that worship of Krishna leads to material benefits. It only leads to spiritual benefits. It only leads to elevation of our consciousness spiritually. And Krishna does give material benefits if he thinks it will not impede, it will not come in the way of our spiritual progress. Then Krishna does give. He can definitely give anything, and he gives spiritual benefits, material benefits, no problem. Like to Sudama Brahman, he gave him a huge palace and so many things, but Sudama was not at all deterred. He was not at all affected by it. So there are many cases like that, but that is not the purpose. Now, other Puranas specify that if you worship this demigod, you get this material benefit. If you worship this demigod, you get this material benefit. There are so many instructions like that. In the second canto of Srimad Bhagavatam, I think chapter 4 describes which demigod to worship to get what kind of benefit. So there is a long list like that. And you can ask then why it exists in the Puranas. We can answer that question if there is interest, but that will derail us or it will take us in a different tangent. I don't want to go there yet. If you have a question, we can deal with it in the Q&A time. That why do such Puranas or such instructions exist so as to surrender to other devatas to get material benefits? The short answer is so that we can elevate our consciousness that by some kind of surrender, some people may be at such a fallen level that they don't surrender to anyone, or they don't want to surrender to anyone. So just to introduce the concept of surrender, that, okay, if you surrender to the devata, you get some benefit. Then you understand, hopefully later, that, oh, there is this Supreme Lord Krishna. If by surrendering to the devata, I could get these material benefits, how about if I surrender to the Supreme Devata, the Supreme Lord, who is the Lord of these demigods also? And to generate that kind of a understanding, these Puranas are there to take us, people who are very, very materialistic, at least to some higher level. And then the Bhagavad Purana and other Puranas take to a completely a spiritual level. So that is the understanding. Okay. So we covered 7.20. Let me see if there are any other points in 7.20 that I want to cover. Okay. So we will go to 7.21. So let us see what Lord Krishna says in 7.21. One second. Yo yo yam yam tanum bhaktah shraddhaya architum ichhati tasya tasya achalam shraddham tam eva vidhyamya aham. So the translation is, I am in everyone's heart as the super soul. As soon as one desires to worship some demigod, I make his faith steady so that he can devote himself to that particular deity. So the discussion is that Krishna gives the faith. Yo yo yam yam tanum bhakta. So whoever wants to go to whichever devata, to the tanum means to them. So if you want to become a bhakta of that devata, shraddhaya architum ichhati, and has a desire to worship that devata with some shraddha, with some faith. Tasya tasya achalam shraddham. To him, tasya tasya, to those people, achalam shraddham, I give that achal shraddha. Tam eva vidhamya aham. I give them that achal shraddha, that steady faith to them, so that they can go and worship those devatas. So this shows a couple of points here. That first of all, Krishna is not jealous of other devatas. He is very, Krishna is, we can say, is Krishna is very generous, or we can say generous or magnanimous, or accommodating. He is not competing. There is no competition with other devatas. And the third point is that he allows for our free will. He honors, he respects our free will. So if we have a desire to go and worship some other devata, Krishna says, fine, no problem. He's not competing that, oh, if you go to them, then, I don't like you, or, there's some kind of competition. No. But the main point is, so these are some of the points to note. These are some of the points to observe. But the main point is of 7.21, that the faith to worship those devatas comes from Krishna. Ultimately, Krishna is the one that is orchestrating everything. We cannot even worship the other devatas without Krishna's sanction. Those devatas, the demigods, do not even have the power to instill faith in us to worship them. That too has to be done by Krishna. Okay, it is like saying, child says, I want to go to the park and play. I don't want to play with your father. Father is saying, come play with me. The child says, no, I want to go and play with someone else. But who will take the child to play with someone else? The father only has to take. Father could say, okay, if you want to play with someone else, you go. I am sitting here. No, the father has to carry the child so that he can play with somebody else. Such a nice father is there. He doesn't feel jealous. He doesn't feel bad. He's very accommodating, and he honors and respects and allows for the free will of the people. So that is the main point. The other point, it shows, like I mentioned, it shows the limited capacity of the devatas. They are unable to put that faith in us. That faith has to be put by Krishna. So here and in many other verses in the future, the next two verses are also very, very significant. We see that Krishna is superior to the devatas. Is this point coming out from this verse? Is everybody convinced? Because if I want to worship some other devata, who has to instill that faith in our heart? According to verse number 21, it has to be Krishna. If Krishna does not do that, then we cannot even go and worship the other devatas. So Krishna is the enabler. Krishna is the cause. Therefore, Krishna is superior to the devatas. Okay. And in the verse, if you see, Lord Krishna says, Aham, tam eva vidhami aham. So aham means Lord Krishna is saying, I do that. So it's very clear that he is doing that. And how is he doing that? Krishna is doing it as the Paramatma. This has been written by several acharyas, including Sri Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur, Srila Prabhupada, and Baladev Vidyabhushan, that as the Paramatma in our heart, he instills that faith so that we can go and worship those other devatas. So that is the meaning of 7.21. So in 7.21, we learned that Krishna is the sanctioner of our faith to worship other devatas. So Krishna is the sanctioner. And he's not jealous, he's not competing, he's very accommodating, and he allows for our free will. And it also shows the limited nature of the devatas. Now, but those who are worshipping the devatas, they get material benefits, but we will discuss this probably in there is another sort of a side question. How, if we have a long sort of a cultural attraction to worshipping devatas, then fine, you can continue to worship devatas, but what you should, you should worship them and not worship them, but you should request them to divert you to Lord Krishna, to request Lord Krishna to put faith in our heart so that we can worship Krishna. That should be the mood in which one can approach the devatas, if that is the inclination that one wants to go to. So we can expand more on this as to how, if there is a sort of a long seeded attraction to worship devatas, what would be a recommended way to approach them or to worship them or to ask them? One must never ask them about material benefits. That should never be the case, because according to all the prescriptions, the devatas become very easily pleased and they give material benefits. And those material benefits are usually not conducive to our spiritual growth. We get those material benefits and then we get entangled in those material benefits and we forget Krishna. Definitely, many times we even forget the devatas. There are so many cases I have seen where people go, we tell them, come to our Krishna temple or to read Bhagavad Gita. They say, no, we are worshipping this devata, that devata. They get those benefits, and then after 1 year, 2 years, we say, okay, are you still going to that, worshipping the devata? No, I stopped that and whatever. So I'm very happy and everything. So they get the benefits, they abandon Krishna, they abandon the devata also who gave them the benefits. So what is the point? What is the point of such worship? So devatas easily become happy and give, but that spoils our consciousness and it makes our consciousness material. This is exactly, there are so many cases where this has happened, and this is in the Shastras. We see Hiranyakashipu, he worshipped Brahmaji. What did he get? Did he continue to stay a devotee of Lord Brahma? No, he started plundering the universe. And there are so many, there is the example of Ravana. He was worshipping Lord Shiva, and he did not continue to be a devotee of Lord Shiva. There is the example of Bhasmasura. He got a benediction by Lord Shiva and he wanted to kill Lord Shiva himself. So, so many cases are there. This kind of devotion, the devotion is to material sense gratification. The devotion is to material opulence. The devatas are just a tool, a sort of a very are a medium. You just abuse the devatas to get the material opulence, and then you discard the devatas, you forget them. So such an approach is not called devotion. It is just called cheating or a devotion of convenience, and that is not real devotion. So this is the problem with demigod worship, that it does not generate any kind of devotion usually. And even if it does, it is very, very slow and gradual. So that is 7.21. So now let us go to 7.22. So let us see what Lord Krishna says in 7.22. So 7.22, Lord Krishna says, Sa taya shraddhaya yuktas tasya aradhanam ihate labhate cha tatah kaman maya iva vihitan hitan. So Lord Krishna says, Sa taya shraddhaya yuktas. So with that shraddhaya, with this kind of shraddha that has been given by whom? By Krishna, that endowed with such a faith, equipped with such faith, tasya aradhanam ihate. They go and worship the devatas. Good, okay, at least you are worshipping the devatas, fine. Labhate cha tatah kaman. And they get labh. Everybody puts a sign outside their house, right? Shubh labh. So it means that may all kind of opulence, may all kind of labh come to my house. So labhate cha tatah kaman. All their kaman, all their desires are fulfilled. Labhate. They obtain all their desires. But the last line is very important. Maya iva vihitan hitan. Maya iva. By me, those benefits are given. Vihitan means I am the one who is sanctioning or arranging those benefits to be given by the devatas. Those benefits don't belong to the devatas. Devatas are just administrators. Okay. The ultimate owner of the property is Lord Krishna or Lord Vishnu. And the devatas are just administering it, but they administer more freely, more casually. They have that, Lord Krishna has given them that power that, okay, you take my property and you distribute. So the devatas very generously distribute because they get satisfied by the worship of those people very easily. But the main point is that the material benefits that devatas give to their worshippers actually come from Krishna. This is the main point. So ultimately, they are not the owners of those benefits either. All the benefits are coming from Krishna. This also shows Krishna's superiority over the demigods. This is a very important point. Many people, especially of Indian origin, have this confusion. Oh, Krishna, he's a one devata, there's this devata, that devata. He's just one among the one of the more popular ones. That's all. There is no difference. Sab ek hain. Everybody is ek, whether you worship this, that. Yeah, I'm doing some puja. So they have this very confused understanding. That is not the case. Krishna is the Supreme Lord. All the devatas are the administrators who are helping Krishna to orchestrate the various functions of the universe. The Sanatana dharma is a monotheistic religion. So Sanatana dharma, or you can say the Vaishnava dharma or the Vaishnava understanding, whatever, which we call typically as Hinduism. There is no word as Hinduism, but whatever is the true meaning of Hinduism, the Sanatana dharma, as described in Bhagavad Gita, Srimad Bhagavatam, the Upanishads, the Vedas, the Puranas, as described in all of them, is a 100% monotheistic dharma. Monotheistic means there is one God. One God. Many people have this question, oh, there are 33 million gods. What are they? What is the relationship between them? No, there is one God. He has many names. Krishna, Vishnu, Rama, and so on. And these other demigods are the devatas. They are like the helpers or assistants or whatever name you can give, administrators, etc., etc. But it is one God. So that is the understanding, 33 million and all that. What is the meaning? And even these are different gods. No, they are different names. We can have different names, correct? So when we can have different names, why the God cannot have different names? But he is one God. And this one God, I'll go to another slide. One God versus three gods versus many gods. This is the source. This is the source of, I would say, 80% of world conflicts. The Crusades, which occurred between the Muslims and the Christians, or all the problems that occur, between wherever this and that occur over how many gods. This is a primary source of conflict. For example, the Abrahamic religion, the original Abrahamic religion, said there is one God. Now, by the way, the Islamic religion very strongly believes in one God. They say that you cannot have, and they do not, the most sort of fanatic or the radical side may believe that, oh, if you don't believe in one God, you should be, punished. The Christian sort of the philosophy has evolved over sort of three personalities, what is known as the Trinity. Trinity means sort of three gods, the Father, Son, and the Holy Spirit. Now, I don't want to go into the depth of the meaning of Father, Son, and Holy Spirit and the differences between them, etc. But so Islam is sort of very strongly into one God, Allah, versus the Trinity is a major source of conflict between Christians and Muslims. And many gods, Hinduism, 33 million, and so many major conflicts. Oh, you are all, worshippers of animals. You worship elephants, you worship eagles, you worship lion, you worship cat, dog, this, that. You have so many gods, and so much conflict is there. Now, I want to mention, there was this great scholar. His name was Dara Shikoh. Anybody knows who is Dara Shikoh?
Shahjahan or
Aurangzeb's brother.
Brother of Aurangzeb.
Yes, the eldest
Aurangzeb ka
brother,
bhai.
eldest brother of Aurangzeb. Aurangzeb was a complete rascal, a demon. He destroyed so many Vaishnava temples and harassed so many Vaishnava saints. But anyway, and he killed his other three brothers. They were four brothers, four sons of Shah Jahan. He killed the three ones to become king. And he also imprisoned his father, Shah Jahan. But the eldest son of Shah Jahan is Dara Shikoh. He was a very peaceful, very scholarly person. And he has written, he is the person who is credited with translating the Upanishads into Persian language. So he read the Upanishads and he translated them into Persian. And those translations, it seems, are still available. And
It's called Zarre Akbar, sir.
Maybe, I don't know the name, but yes. But he wrote in his commentaries that the Hindu religion is the most monotheistic religion I have ever come across. The deepest understanding of what it means to be monotheistic, and the details and the refined manner in which monotheism has been described is best described in the Upanishads. This is Dara Shikoh, who was completely brought up and trained as in the sort of the Islamic scriptures, and was very much into understanding, or he had a good understanding of what is monotheism. He writes that the Upanishads is the treasure house of monotheism. There are so many treasures and pearls to be obtained by reading the Upanishads on monotheism. So the point I wanted to convey here through these verses is that we have this understanding of so many gods. There is a hierarchy. Lord Krishna is the one God. The others are not at the same level as Krishna. They are subordinate, and they have a certain role and a function, and they are discharging their duties. And this you can see coming out from these verses. So that is the essence of this explanation. Okay. So people get the results from the devatas. It appears that they are coming from the devatas, but those results are being given by Krishna. That is the main point of 7.22. Now let us see 7.23. Now this is the sort of the heaviest verse. Heaviest verse between 7.20 to 23. So Lord Krishna saved the heaviest verse for the last. So what does 7.23 says? So quickly to revise, 7.20, 21 and 22. What has Lord Krishna said? 7.20, 21 and 22 so far. That in 7.20, Lord Krishna is saying that it was also a little bit heavy, because Lord Krishna is saying those whose intelligence has been stolen, Hrita Jnana, Kamaistere, and they are driven by Kama, by material desires, they go and surrender to the other devatas. So it was heavy in that sense. 21 said that I give the faith to go to the devatas. 22 is saying I give the benefits which you ultimately seem to get, appear to get from the devatas. I give those benefits. So I give the faith. I give faith. I provide benefits. And here people who have lost or their knowledge, they surrender to the devatas. So these are the points being made. Now 7.23. Antavattu phalam tesham tad bhavati alpamedhasam devan devayajo yanti mad bhakta yanti mamapi. So what is Lord Krishna saying? Antavattu phalam tesham. So whatever phal they are getting, the labhate cha tata kaman in the previous verse, whatever shubh labh, whatever material benefits that they get from these devatas are antavat. Antavat. What is the meaning of antavat? Ant means ending, isn't it? So these benefits, the phalam, antavat to phalam tesham. Tesham means those benefits, those phala, those fruits that you get have an ending. They are not eternal. They are not permanent. They are temporary. Anything that has an ending is called temporary, isn't it? So those benefits that you get from the devatas are temporary, and you can also say limited. They are temporary and limited. They are perishable. Right? Antavat tu phalam teshan. Tad bhavati alpamedhasam. And the people who obtain or who desire, who hanker for such benefits are called as alpamedhasam. Alpamedhasam. Medhas. What is medhas? So many people, some of the Matajis have the name Medha. Medha means what? Intelligence, isn't it? Isn't it? Intelligence. Alpa. Alpa means what? Little, small, isn't it? So small intelligence or less intelligence. So how will you feel if I call you, you are a person of small intelligence or less intelligence? That is what Lord Krishna is calling such people. That such people are alpamedhasam, who go for or who fall for antavat phalam. Phala, which has an ending, which is temporary. And that is what you get in the third line. Lord Krishna is saying, Devan devayajo yanti. So those who worship the devatas, they go to the planet of devatas and they get these antavat phalam. Mad bhakta yanti mamapi. But my devotees, they come to me. And previously in Bhagavad Gita, and later on also you will see in the 8th chapter, and very soon you will see actually in the next verse itself, that Lord Krishna is eternal. So these devatas are not eternal. So the lifespan of devatas is not eternal, and the fruits that devatas give is also not eternal. So basically, all that you are getting is stuff that is not eternal. You are selling yourself cheap. That is the point Lord Krishna is saying. You are doing prapadyante anya devata. You are doing prapadyante. You are doing so much surrender to someone else, to the devatas, but what you are getting is something smaller. What would you call such a person? For same amount, if you are getting something better versus getting something that is less in some way, lower quality, but you choose the lower quality product and you are paying the same price, then you will be called a person of less intelligence or small intelligence. You are selling yourself cheap. That is the point Lord Krishna is making. And Lord Krishna in the 9th chapter, he will say how simple his bhakti is, how simple it is. So the amount of the prapadyante anya devata, the process of surrendering through the niyama, there he says in 7.20, tam niyamam asthaya, the niyam that you have to follow for Krishna bhakti is much simpler. So actually, so to say, in some way, the price you have to pay is less. The product you are getting is much, much higher quality. You should be an idiot to pay a higher price and get a lower quality product. So that is the essence of these 4 verses. So this is why this is little bit heavy, because Lord Krishna is saying that the fruits of devatas are same thing. I'm repeating myself, sorry. Let me just circle this. The fruits are not eternal. The devatas themselves are not eternal, and therefore you are a person of less or small intelligence because you are selling yourself cheap. That is the point of 7.23. So in that way, it is a hard-hitting verse. It is a heavy verse. Okay. So let me see. Okay, very nice. So, okay. So let's see. The time is 7:24. Are there? So this is the discussion. Now this discussion will go into a more practical aspect of this demigod worship of what is known as Devi Puja or Deva Puja or Devi Astha, Devata Astha will come in chapter 9. So chapter 7 in general is theory about Lord Krishna. Chapter number 9 will show the a very practical side of the theory. So there in chapter 9 also, pretty much many of the topics that are coming in chapter 7 will come again in chapter 9, but with a very, very heavy practical side, practical aspect to them. Okay. But for now, this is the discussion on demigod worship. In chapter 7, 20-23. 4 verses, we have dealt with demigod worship in detail. So let's see, are there any questions? This is the time for Q&A. You can raise your hand or you can post your question on the chat. And if you do not have a question, that's okay. You can ask in the end also. So there are some questions. Who are these other devata? Okay. We are told 3 gods, Brahma, Vishnu, and Mahesh. If Vishnu is the only god, then Brahma. Okay, I hear from the elders that devata puja is necessary, otherwise they get annoyed. This is why it is done in any ceremony. Okay, let me post these questions, very good questions, and let me answer them. Can you do me a help? Is also any, let me see. In Srimad Bhagavatam, Canto 2, Chapter 4, I think Chapter 4 hai. There is a list of demigods given. There is a section of verses together, lot of verses together. And demigods are given, and what are their functions? What do they give? Can you find that out, the verse number? 2.4, it is there. Canto 2, Chapter 4, please, can you find? So, the first question is, who are these other devatas? So I will just say here, not devata, but devatas. So we will answer that question. I'm finding out, my wife is finding out that verse. The second question, I'll give you a whole list of devatas is given, and there are many, you know, you'll not find that the Puranas and all are not so elaborate that all the millions and millions of devatas are listed, but you will get a very good idea. The next question, while no, it's in the direct verse. Direct verse. Try some other chapter. It is in Canto 2. Definitely Canto 2. Okay. Next question. We will answer that one. Okay. So let us answer this one. We are told three gods, Brahma, Vishnu, and Mahesh. And what is the position if Vishnu, so I think this is a typo, I'll just fix it. If Vishnu is the only god, then Brahma and Mahesh are also one of the demigods or have a special place. Okay, so let's answer this. So this Brahma, Vishnu, and Mahesh, Brahma, Vishnu, Mahesh, I'll just abbreviate as BVM. These are the three known as the Guna avatars. Now there is Lord Vishnu. He is known as Narayana. The actual name of Lord, the spiritual, as he exists in the spiritual world in Vaikuntha Loka, his name is Narayana. He comes into the material world. So again, we'll go to that sort of, I won't show that, but this is the material world. And this is the spiritual world. Okay. I hope you can understand. We have shown that picture so many times, correct? He comes, Lord Vishnu incarnates as Guna avatars in the material world. He also incarnates as Purusha avatars in the material world. We'll not go into the Purusha avatar. The Purusha avatars is Karanodakshayi Vishnu, Kshirodakshayi Vishnu, Garbhodakshayi Vishnu, and Kshirodakshayi Vishnu. Okay, so Prasoon Gupta. So you're saying Canto 5, Chapter 20. It may be there, or did you mean Canto 2? Because I wanted it to be found from Canto 2.
Found it and she sent it.
Okay, fine. We can see Canto 5 also. Can you see this reference sent by Prasoon?
And how should I send you Bible?
No, just tell me later. But yeah, you can see this one also, Canto 5, if it says reference, correct. Okay, so Lord Vishnu incarnates as Brahma, Vishnu, and Mahesh. And that is what we know as the three Guna avatars. Lord Brahma is the in charge of the Guna of Rajas. So passion or Rajas. Vishnu is that of goodness or Sattva. And Mahesh is in charge of the mode of ignorance or tamas. So these are the deities that are in charge of the three modes. And they, we had a discussion on the three modes. I don't want to get into a detailed discussion of the three modes, but these are the three deities and that are in charge of the three modes. So this Vishnu here is basically an incarnation of Lord Narayana. Brahma is also an incarnation of Lord Narayana. And Mahesh or Lord Shiva is also in the case of being in charge of the mode of ignorance, is a avatar or incarnation of Lord Narayana. So that is what is known, and we get confused, or people who don't know the details confuse that these three, Brahma, Vishnu and Mahesh, are at the same level as Lord Narayana. So even this Vishnu, who is the deity of the mode of goodness, is not at the same level as Narayana. As an incarnation, he has diminished capacity. So these three, Brahma, Vishnu, Mahesh, that are referred to are the three deities in the three guna avatars. They are not equal to Lord Vishnu or Narayana, who is the supreme Lord, the supreme personality, Lord Krishna, or known by various names. So there is that understanding, or that this Vishnu is different from this Narayana. Okay, so that is the sort of the detailed understanding. Then the third question.
Please excuse me. When you say that Brahma, Vishnu, Mahesh are the guna avatars of Vishnu, that means they are the same?
No, so Mataji, the avatars have diminished or reduced capability than the Supreme Lord.
Okay.
There are various types of avatars. So many avatars are there. Every avatar is not the same as the Supreme Lord. Okay, the avatars, there's a whole theory. We can do a whole seminar on various types of avatars. And in some cases, Lord Krishna himself comes. But in some cases, Lord Krishna appears with diminished capacity. Now, in that sense, we are all parts and parcels. Even we, the living entities, are energies of Lord Krishna. Okay, without that, we have studied in the beginning of chapter 7. 7.4, Lord Krishna lists the 8 material energies, and 7.5, he says that the living entities, the Jiva Bhutam, are my marginal energies. They are known as the Titiksha Shakti, the marginal potency of Krishna. The demigods or the devatas have much more potency than the human beings, but they also have reduced, they have diminished potency than the Supreme Lord. So there is a distinction between avatar. One must not think of it just like an actor. Oh, I have just changed the clothes, but I'm still the same person. That is a different kind of avatar.
And that means the demigods and avatars are also having different capabilities, different capacity?
Absolutely. The demigods have even less capability than the avatars.
Okay.
Yes.
Thank you.
Okay. Okay. I think this got pasted twice, so I don't know why.
Guruji, this is Parul. Can I say something?
Yes.
So, I mean, when we were talking about these demigods versus the actual Vishnu or Krishna, right? I read somewhere that all the festivals, Hindu festivals that we celebrate, mostly are like demigods. Like either they're coming out of a curse, or they were in a curse, and Vishnu came and like he kind of took them out. So they say that all of the demigods also have like all kind of like anger, or all the, like, I don't know, like anger, hunger, whatever that is, right? Like those bad qualities, not really bad, but like those materialistic qualities.
Which show their limited nature.
Yeah, exactly. And that's why it is considered that any festival that we look into, like it's always has some or the other corresponding to like a curse where they did something and they're coming out of it.
So I can't remember offhand, but again, it's not just about the festivals and the cause or the sort of the deeper reason or the cause or the of celebration of a festival or whatever is celebrated during the festival. I can't recall offhand, but yes, the essence of what you're saying is correct, that the demigods, the devis and devatas, also have certain material qualities, and in many cases they get angry, they sometimes get illusioned, and so many things. In the Srimad Bhagavatam itself, there are so many examples of demigods, like for example the Govardhan Leela. That whole thing happened because Lord Indra got confused that this little boy Krishna is telling the residents of Vrindavan to not worship me but worship the Govardhan hill. And he got very, very angry, and he wanted to kill all the residents of Vrindavan by, drowning them in the flood. So, and Lord Krishna saved them, of course, and then he chastised. He scolded Indra also. When Indra realized, oh my God, what have I done? He comes and begs for forgiveness. Lord Krishna forgives, but says that, you should not have done that. These are my great dear devotees. How could you think of killing them and drowning them in the flood? So, yes, so they are, they have those handicaps. They have those same kind of or similar some of the traits that we can see, but they are very rare and far between. I get angry every day. Indra doesn't get angry every day. Generally, 99.999%, he's a very, very good person. He's perfectly controlling the material, the Svargaloka and the other, whatever his jurisdiction is. He's doing a perfect job. Sometimes he gets illusioned. Similarly, Lord Brahma also got illusioned. In the Srimad Bhagavatam, sometime we will discuss the Brahma Vimohan Leela. He was thinking, how is it possible that this small child, he's just playing with the other cowherd boys? How can he be the Supreme Lord? Now, by the way, if you remember, Brahmaji was the one in the Srimad Bhagavatam, if you see in the 10th canto, he is the one that goes and prays to Lord Vishnu to come to the earth and relieve the earth of its problems. And Lord Vishnu says, yes, very soon I will come. So Brahmaji is so powerful, and he understands, and he was in fact the one who went and requested Lord Vishnu to come as Krishna. And he himself got illusioned, who is this Krishna? And he wanted to test. So he stole the calves and cows, the calves and the cowherd boys, the friends of Krishna. And we can go into the details, but yes, that all happens. So they do get into illusion sometimes, but that is very rare and very few and far between, not like us who get illusioned all the time. So there is that difference.
Yeah, and this reminds me of like in one of the sessions you mentioned that all these demigods have like particular job to do, right? Like they're like the officers who have been assigned something. So they do answer to like the president or the prime minister who we can consider like as Krishna, and all these gods are like officers who are supposed to do their job and do their duty. So it's the position that they are in, because they might have done like some good karmas, and that's why they are in that position to be under like direct.
Yes, they have earned their place as that demigod. Right? Okay, so there is a list if you are interested. It has been posted to everyone, thanks to Nishtha, and my wife posted the link, and Poonam Mataji also. And then we will see. Did you check out this Canto 5 link?
It is different.
It's different. So yeah, we'll just stay with the Canto 2 link. Canto 2, chapter 3, verse numbers 2 to 7. So we have 6 verses here. I will not go through the whole translation, but you can get a sense. One who desires to be absorbed in the impersonal effulgence should worship the master of the Vedas, Lord Brahma. One who desires powerful sex should worship Indra. Well, okay, there you go. One who desires good progeny should worship the great progenitors known as the Prajapatis. One who desires good fortune should worship Durga Devi, the superintendent of the material world. One desiring to be very powerful should worship the fire god. One who aspires after money should worship the Vasus. One should worship the Rudra incarnations of Lord Shiva if he wants to be a great hero. One who wants a large stock of grains should worship Aditi. One who desires to attain the heavenly planets should worship the sons of Aditi. So many are there. I don't want to kind of go in the whole list, but this gives you a sense that, hey, and you can see here, these are all material benefits, and you can go to those demigods and you can get those benefits. But according to the Bhagavad Gita, ultimately those benefits are coming from Lord Krishna. These are just the administrators. They are not the Isha. They are not the owners of the benefit. The owner is only one, which is Lord Krishna. That is given in a different, very directly. I mean, it's given in so many places. In Bhagavad Gita also, Lord Krishna says, Aham sarvasya prabhavo, everything comes from me. But in the here you see in the Isopnisad, the property is everything inanimate, animate or inanimate that exists, that is within the universe, is controlled and owned by the Lord, Isha. Isha means Lord, Ishvara or Isha. Isha vashyam idam sarvam. Yat kincha jagatayam jagat. So everything is owned by Lord Krishna, by Isha. So there are so many other examples. So, okay. Last question. I hear from elders that devata puja is necessary. Otherwise, they get annoyed. This is why it is done in any ceremony. So I am assuming this is a question mark, or is this why it is done? So I'll frame it as a question. The answer is yes and no. Okay. Sometimes the devatas or devis and devatas may get annoyed, like in the case of Govardhan Leela. Indra got annoyed. But in general, the answer is no. Okay, they are not supposed to get annoyed. They are supposed to be so happy if you go directly to Lord Krishna. So one should not go to the demigods for anything else except to get the direction or to be put on the path of Krishna Bhakti. That's the only reason that one should actually go to the demigods. One should definitely not approach them out of fear. Now, we can go into a little bit deeper philosophy. When you approach someone, you go out of 4 reasons. The lowermost reason is fear. That if I don't go to them, something bad will happen. The second reason is desire, to want something. The third reason, the third sort of better reason. So the worst reason, this is the worst. And the best reason is out of love. And then there is this sort of a increasing order. So yes, most people do things out of fear. If you didn't have fear that you will get a ticket, you would jump red lights, you would cross the speed limits, you would do. Many people stay in the line, stay in their guardrails out of fear. If the fear is taken away, many people will become lawless. The next one is desire, then a sense of duty, and finally out of love. So yes, many people go to Krishna also out of fear, thinking that, okay, if I don't do this, Krishna will get mad at me, or he will, I will get punished. So, various reasons could be there why one goes to a higher authority. And fear is the lowest reason, the most basic reason. But the devatas are not supposed to get angry if you don't go to them. They are supposed to be very calm and composed. And they are supposed to give you the benefits according to your dharma. If you have earned it, you should get it. No problem. So dharma, artha, kama. When you do your dharma, you do your work, you will get the results, the artha, and from which you can enjoy kama. So that is the law of karma. Dharma, artha, kama is basically the law of karma. So it's the same thing, like, you don't have to go and specially worship the electricity department so that you get electricity in your house. All you have to do is to pay the bill and have a permit or whatever, that you do your things properly. The electricity department is supposed to give you electricity. It is not supposed to show any favoritism, that if you don't go to them, if you don't pay your bills, they will cut the electricity for anyone. So that is their duty. There is no need to go to the demigods at all. So, and there is no need to go to anyone out of fear. If you are doing your dharma, the dharma will protect you. And this we have, yeah, okay. So, okay, what are the other questions? There are some other questions. What should we do with the demigods and goddesses already being worshipped at home? Okay, so that's a good question. So let me put it here. Okay, what should we do? So I would say, if you are convinced in your heart about Krishna Bhakti, okay, so first build that conviction. That is the first step. Then you can gradually convert the worship of demigods to Lord Krishna. You can do that over a period of time. Don't do it out of as a impulsive decision or something like that. Get the conviction in your heart that yes, Krishna Bhakti is the highest, is the best, is the purpose of human life. Therefore, it is the purpose of my life. I want to start worshipping Krishna. Gradually, you replace the worship of demigods with the worship of Lord Krishna. In many houses, in many homes, I have seen that they put Lord Krishna at the top. They kind of have a sort of a hierarchy, 2 levels, 3 levels, and put the demigods at the next level, which is the right thing. They are the administrators. They are subservient to Lord Krishna. So they are worshipping Lord Krishna, but they don't discard the demigods. They put them at the right place, which is at the feet or below Lord Krishna. And they worship Lord Krishna, but the demigods are still there, and they show their respect to them. So that also you can do. And over a period of time, you can move them out, or you can exclusively begin to worship Lord Krishna, because Lord Krishna says, Nitya Yukta Eka Bhakti. Don't put your feet in 2 boats, 3 boats, 4 boats. Otherwise, you will fall down and you will get hurt, or you will drown. So the end goal is Nitya Yukta Eka Bhakti. That is the end goal. So try to come to this stage, but at the same time, it doesn't mean that you should disrespect demigods. This is never okay. That should never be done. So that should be done. Therefore, this is the end goal. Gradually come to this end goal. All right. Okay, one more question is there. Why is pitra puja done? So, okay, we can go into a lot of the details. Pitra puja means, you can think of it like worshipping the forefathers. But the real meaning is not worshipping the forefathers. You are worshipping Lord Krishna for the forefathers. That is the essence of the meaning, because as a child, it is your duty to serve your forefathers, isn't it? You give them food, you help them, you take care of the children are supposed to take care of the parents, isn't it? So pitra puja means you are praying to Lord Krishna for the spiritual growth of your forefathers. But it takes the form of worshipping the forefathers so that you get some benefits. And that is a sort of a, lower form of worship, similar to worship of the demigods. So, we will, there is demigod worship, and then there is pitra puja, and it is to satisfy, it is to pray for the spiritual growth of the forefathers. So that is the sort of, at a high level, that is the purpose. We can go into more details. I myself don't have it at my fingertips at this moment.
Guruji, again, this is Paru. So this is something that I learned. It said that when you do Pitra Puja, the reason why you are born is for your soul satisfaction. So the Pitra Puja are nothing but your forefathers. So they were born, and then now you are born through them. So ultimate soul ka goal is to reach that moksha, or to reach that, like that feet of Krishna or something. So because you're born with that desire, which is coming down from the genes or the DNA of your forefathers, that's why you worship them, thanking them that they have given you this birth to achieve that, to achieve your soul purpose. I'm not sure if that would help anybody, but that really helped me in putting like a closure to this.
Okay. Thanks. Okay. So let's see, it's 7:53. We can definitely cover one major topic as well. So let's go into 7.24 and 7.25. So this is another major topic. So in 7.20 to 7.23, we discussed the topic of demigod worship, the worship of devis and devatas. Now there is a whole different category of worship or surrender that one does, which is to the impersonal Brahman. So the impersonal aspect of the Supreme Lord. So what happens when one worships, or when one is attached to the impersonal worship, or the worship of the impersonal Brahman? What happens? So the question is, what happens to those who worship the impersonal Brahman? That question is answered in 7.24 to 7.26, not only 25, up to 26. So 3 verses. So let us see what Lord Krishna says in this regard. So now this is a whole different category. So here Lord Krishna says, 7.24, first of all, what is the concept of impersonal Brahman? So the concept of impersonal Brahman, we have discussed this earlier. So, there is the Lord Krishna as Bhagavan, the person, the personal aspect. And then there is Paramatma, and then there is the Brahman. So the Brahman is the spiritual effulgence coming from Krishna, coming from the person Krishna. That is Brahman. This is the correct understanding. Brahman is the effulgence, the light or the energy that is emanating out of the body of Lord Sri Krishna. That is Brahman. Therefore, the question is cause versus effect. So who is the cause? Is Krishna the cause of Brahman, or is Brahman the cause of Krishna? Which one? Or is Brahman the cause of Krishna? Which one is correct?
A.
How many say A? Okay, it will take a long time for everybody to raise hands or whatever. Anybody in the camp B? Anybody says B? Nobody says B. Okay. Somebody said B, huh? So let us see what is the answer. So the answer we get in 7.24. We get a sense of the answer. Another place very strongly where we get the answer is 14.27. So we will examine 7.24. We will touch upon 14.27 as well. So 7.24. What does 7.24 say? Avyaktam vyaktim apannam manyate mam abuddhayaha param bhavam ajananto mam avyayam anuttamam. So avyaktam vyaktim apannam. So avyakta means impersonal Brahman, the avyakta, the unmanifested, the sort of the energy, the abstract form of the Supreme Lord, which is known as the Brahman. Here the word used is avyaktam. Avyaktam vyaktim apannam. Apannam means I have become or I have taken the form of a vyakti. Who is vyakti? Krishna is the vyakti. He is looking like a person. So if you think that the Brahman became Krishna, okay, so Brahman is the, I'll choose a different color. Brahman is the avyaktam. Krishna is the vyakti, and become means apannam. Avyaktam vyaktim apannam, which means Brahman became Krishna. Okay, are you following? What does Krishna says? Manyate. Manyate means who thinks like this. Manyate or mante hain. Those who feel like this or those who believe in this. Manyate, that I have become like this. What is Krishna calling them? Buddhiman? No, he's not calling them Buddhiman. He is calling them Abuddhaya. Abuddhaya means non-intelligent. Or basically he is calling them fools. So those, according to Lord Krishna, those who select B, they are non-intelligent. Are you following? Kindly mute yourself if you're not speaking in the class. Okay. So we get the answer from 7.24 that Brahman is not the cause of Krishna. And therefore it must be the other way around. That is specified in 14.27. Lord Krishna says, we will come to that, but this is not directly said here that Krishna is the cause of Brahman. That is said in 14.27. But here, the statement number B has been negated. The option B has been negated in 7.24. Lord Krishna is saying that those who think that I have come from the Brahman, somehow the Brahman was originally there, and now from that I have come. That means Brahman is the cause, I am the effect. They are unintelligent people. A small contrast, the demigod worshippers. What did Lord Krishna call them? Anybody remembers? Lord Krishna called them alpa medhasa,
Less intelligent.
which means less intelligent. So who is worse, less intelligent or non-intelligent? Now, non-intelligent means you have no brains. Less intelligent means you have some small brain, right? The bhakta is fully intelligent. He is 100%. Less intelligent means maybe you are 50%. Unintelligent means you are 0%. Abuddhaya. Now somebody can say, oh, you are reading too much into Bhagavad Gita, too much into the words. Well, we are here to study the scripture. We cannot choose that, oh, this verse we will take it only lightly or partially. We will not interpret it fully. And the other verses we will go very deep. Every word of Lord Krishna is very deep. So we have to take it that way. And there the word being used is abuddhaya versus alpa medhasam, or you can say alpa buddhaya. So the people who think that Brahman is the topmost are more bigger fools than at least the demigod worshippers. And what is the reason? The reason is that demigod worshippers, they have a path to future worship of Krishna. They have a path. The worshippers of Brahman, they have no path to future worship of Krishna. Because they think that Krishna is subservient to Brahman. The demigod worshippers are happily worshipping the demigods. Okay, but sometime they might realize that, oh, these benefits are coming from Krishna, so let me go and worship Krishna. But the Brahman worshippers are such that the existence or the position of Krishna is very directly described to the Brahman worshippers as being subservient to the Brahman. Because Brahman is not something that they can see and feel. The Brahman worshippers also worship Krishna. They do worship Krishna. But they worship Krishna as a form, as a lower form of Brahman. They say, I am not elevated enough to go to the Himalayas, to stand in the middle of the river in chilling cold water and think that it is all illusion and merge with the Brahman. I am not so advanced. So today I am worshipping Krishna, who is a lower form than Brahman. So they worship Krishna with the understanding that this is a lower form. Therefore, they have no possibility of elevating to Krishna Bhakti as being something superior to Brahman, because they are already indulging in Krishna Bhakti in some sense. So they are eliminating their forward path to Krishna Bhakti. They are so entrenched in this understanding that Krishna Bhakti is simply a stepping stone. Krishna Bhakti is a stepping stone to worship of impersonal Brahman. This is the problem. So you will see people on the path of the impersonal Brahman. They do worship of Krishna, And when they think they have become more advanced, they discard Krishna. They say, okay, now I don't need Krishna anymore. I don't need a picture. I don't need a deity. I don't need to have a sort of a visual engagement. I can engage on the or focus on the Brahman in my mind, and they discard Krishna. They discard. Now, once you have discarded, you have left no path to future bhakti of Krishna. The demigod worshippers don't have that concept. They are just doing demigod worship. That's all. They are very attached to their demigod. So they keep doing that. And in the future, the path is open. There is a path that is open. And that is the reason why these are called less intelligent and these are called unintelligent or non-intelligent. Okay. So I hope I have explained why this is the case. Okay.
Demigod worshippers who think Krishna is lower than deities, and what about those demigods?
Yeah, so one question that is coming up is that some demigod worshippers think that Krishna is lower than the demigods. Well, then in that case, they are in the same category as the Brahman worshippers. They probably don't leave themselves a path open. So this statement that I have made over here is not an absolute statement, but this is the case with many demigod worshippers. Nothing is absolute, you know. There can be, you know, people in either category everywhere. Okay. So I'm just seeing what other points. I have like 4 pages of notes here, but I cannot cover everything here. So I'm just looking at the important points to cover in worship of the Brahman. Yeah. Okay. So now the next question is 7.25. The next verse, 7.25. What happens to such people? What is the destiny or the destination of such people? So in 7.25, Lord Krishna says that I hide myself from such people. Naham prakashah sarvasya yoga maya samavritah mudhoyam na abhijanati loko mam ajamavyayam. So Lord Krishna is saying that na aham prakashah sarvasya. So to such people, prakasha means light. Prakash is light, but also it means to see. The faculty to see. Light is the faculty of seeing. Without light, we don't see. You turn off all the lights, you cannot see anything. So prakash means the energy through which you can see something. So Lord Krishna is saying, Naham prakashah sarvasya. I am not visible to such people. I don't make myself visible to such people. So I do not make myself visible to such people. How? Yoga maya samavritah. I cover myself with my internal energy called Yoga Maya. So remember the discussion between Yoga Maya and Mahamaya. It is the Lord's energy. This is the reason we had discussed this in 7.14. Why is Daivi hi esha gunam gai mama maya duratyaya? Why that Maya is called Daivi or Mama Maya, my energy. So when Lord Krishna engages his energy to help him or his devotees, it is called Yoga Maya. When he engages that energy to punish or to make sure that everybody is, living according to the law of karma, that is known as Mahamaya. So here Lord Krishna is saying, I cover myself with my energy, called Yogamaya. Yogamaya Samavritaha. Samavrita means to cover. Then now he's again using another word. First he used abuddhaya. Now he's saying mudho yam na abhijananti. These mudhas, these fools, they do not know my real nature, which is loko mam. These people, loka, they don't know my real nature, which is ajam and avyayam, which is ajam. Ajam means unborn, and avyayam means eternal. So that is my real nature. I am not some temporary form, that there were the eternal form is Brahman. I have taken a temporary form. Many people say, oh, Krishna was born from a mother called Devaki. So he's a person, he's not eternal. And there is a hunter who shot an arrow and killed Krishna. So he died. So he's not eternal. He has a lifespan. He was born and he died. That is so wrong. You should tell such people to go read Srimad Bhagavatam. In the Bhagavatam, in Canto 10, chapter 2 specifically, it is given, chapter 2, that Krishna was not born from the womb of Devaki. It appeared that Devaki's womb she was pregnant. But Krishna just appeared in front of Devaki and Vasudeva. The whole pregnancy and everything was just Maya to make Kamsa feel that Devaki is pregnant. So Lord Krishna was not sitting in the womb or something like that. He was sitting in the heart of Devaki. And the other point, or rather he entered from the heart, sat in the womb, but didn't take birth like a human child. He just appeared as Lord Narayana. You read the second canto. I don't want to go into the details. Those details are there. Then regarding the passing away of Krishna, when he passed away, that details are given in Canto 11, chapter number, I forget the chapter number. We had discussed this in Srimad Bhagavatam classes that we are doing. Long back, few months back, we discussed how Lord Krishna didn't die. The whole aspect of the hunter and how he shot the arrow and everything is correct. The arrow came and hit Lord Krishna. Lord Krishna, that whole thing is given. And then Lord Krishna just went up into his spiritual abode. He just lifted up and he just went. He didn't die at all. So all these people, they just have seen some TV serial. They have heard from somewhere, from some Dada, Nani, Nana, or wherever, or read in some Amar Chitra Katha comics or this comic book, that cartoon. And they come up with all these things and they say, I have heard. From where have you heard? The best place to hear is the Srimad Bhagavatam or the authentic Shastras, the Puranas, the Vedas, etc. Otherwise, it's all, subject to manipulation and distortion. So Lord Krishna is saying that fools do not know my real nature, which is unborn and eternal. That is the real nature of Lord Krishna. And Lord Krishna covers himself from such people. They will never know him. They will be in their own illusion. So such people, such impersonalists, which is called as impersonalists, stay in their illusion. They stay in their illusion. No problem, because Lord Krishna covers himself from them. Okay. Now, there are many things that we can go into, many deeper topics, like can we demand to see God? If God is hiding himself, if an impersonalist says, okay, if you have a God, why don't you ask him to show himself to me? Why is he covering himself? Why is he hiding himself? Why doesn't he show himself? Then I will believe. And so on and so forth. So we can discuss those topics if there is interest. And yeah. Now, by the way, I forgot to mention one more point, 14.27. Very quickly, we will go there and I will show you. 14.27, where it clearly says that Krishna is the cause of Brahman. In 7.24, the only statement was negated. What was negated? That Brahman is the cause of Krishna. This statement has been negated in 7.24, but this statement has been proved, not proved, or you can say it is stated. There is no proof. These are all axioms. Like we said, Bhagavad Gita is an axiom. It's coming from the mouth of Krishna, and it is the truth. That Krishna is the cause of Brahman. So 14.27, very quickly. Lord Krishna says here, Brahmano hi pratishtha aham. I am the pratishtha, which means I am the foundation of the Brahman. So without the foundation, you cannot have the rest of it. So the foundation is the source from which everything arises. So Brahmano hi pratishtha aham. Lord Krishna is saying, I am the basis of the impersonal Brahman. So this here, Lord Krishna is clearly saying, I am the cause of Brahman. 7.24, Lord Krishna is saying, Brahman is not the cause of me. So both ways he has said. Okay, so just wanted to quickly show that. Okay, now 7.26. So let's show, let me sort of make this little graphic here. Let's say this is Lord Krishna with his little flute. Okay. Well, the hands are playing the flute, so to say, you know, and there is a, you know, peacock feather. So this is Krishna. All right. And he has covered himself. So this is Yogamaya. And this is the sort of the impersonalist. Okay. So this is what has been mentioned in 7.25, isn't it? That I cover myself from such an impersonalist. He can never see me. He cannot see Krishna. So Yogamaya is like a curtain, isn't it? But does it mean that due to this curtain, Krishna cannot see others? Is that the case? Because if there is a curtain, then Krishna cannot see them. No, Krishna is saying that is not the case. The answer is no. Krishna can still see everyone. Krishna can still see everyone. So this is not a curtain like we know it. It is like a one-sided curtain. Or, you know, like a one directional. Like in some movies you might have seen, you know, like in an interrogation room when, you know, the criminal is... Huh?
Tinted glass.
Tinted glass, or yes, something like that. Yes. One side cannot see the other side, but the other side can see through the glass, right? So that is the nature of, so Krishna can see everyone. And that is the sort of the connection of 26th verse. So what is the 26th verse? Vedaham samatitani vartamani cha Arjuna bhavishyani cha bhutani Mam tu Veda na Kashchana. So what is Lord Krishna saying here? Veda aham samatitani vartamani cha Arjuna bhavishyani cha bhutani. So 4 things Lord Krishna is saying that he knows. What does he know? So we have run out of pages. This Jamboard only allows 20 pages. So we will just use a previous page to see some space, get some space. Okay. So 4 things. So 7.26. Lord Krishna knows 4 things. What are those 4 things? So where does he say Lord Krishna knows 4 things? Veda aham. Veda means to know. Aham, Lord Krishna is saying I know. Veda aham. Got it? What all does he know? 4 things. Samatitani, atita, sama atita. Atita means what? Past. So first thing he knows is the whole past. Atitani. Vartamani, present. Okay. Third thing, bhavishyani, future. And whose? The 4th point is not 4 things, but he knows 4 points, you can say. Whose past, present, and future he knows? All living entities. Of all living entities. Bhutani. So every living entity's past, present, future, Lord Krishna knows. So it is not that these people are hidden from Krishna. So of course, the connection of the verse is that, yes, these people cannot know Krishna, but Krishna knows everyone. That is the purpose. But this verse number 26 is serving a higher purpose. It is showing the complete omnipotence, not omnipotence, omniscience of Lord Krishna, that he knows everything. He knows the past, present, and future of all living entities. So, Lord, the translation is, O Arjuna, as the Supreme Personality of Godhead, I know everything that has happened in the past, all that is happening in the present, and all things that are yet to come. I also know all living entities, but me no one knows. Mam tu Veda na Kashchana. Mam tu Veda. Veda means to know. Na Kashchana. Nobody else, nobody knows me. Now, of course, he will say later that my bhaktas know me. Bhaktyamam abhijananti. So the bhaktas know Krishna, but all these people, the demigod worshippers, the impersonalists, all these various categories of people, they do not know me. Okay. So that is the essence of this verse, that it's very, very, very rare to know Krishna. And that is why also this, connects with the verse where Lord Krishna says, Bahunam Janmanam 7.19, Jnanavan Mam Prapadyate, Vasudeva Sarvamiti, Sa Mahatma Sudurlabha. That this is very rare, those who can realize that Vasudeva Sarvamiti, that the Supreme Lord Krishna is everything. And also he says there that Manushyanam Sahasreshu, the 3rd verse, every verse of 7th chapter is so important. The 3rd verse says, Manushyanam Sahasreshu Kaschid Yatati Siddhaye Yatatam Api Siddhanam Kaschin Mam Veti Tatvataha. Mam Veti Tatvataha. In essence, in Tattva, Mam Veti, to know me in essence, very few people know me in essence. So that is the similar concept that Lord Krishna is saying in the 26th verse, Mam tu Veda na Kashchana. That it is very, very, very rare to know Krishna, but it doesn't mean it is very hard. It is very easy to know, but the process is bhakti. So that is the meaning of 7.26. So we will stop here at 7.26 and let me see if there is some free space in any other slide. Yeah, so 15th slide has some space. So quick summary of what we discussed today. 7.20 to 7.23, we discussed demigod worship. 7.24 to 7.26, we discussed impersonal Brahman worship. Worship word is a little bit of a, sort of a misnomer here. We did not use the word worship, but those who consider Krishna bhakti to be inferior to the Brahman. So it is still that one is worshipping Krishna, but as a inferior, at an inferior level. So, but considering the Brahman to be the topmost. So in that sense, it is the worship of the Brahman and degrading Krishna. What happens to such people? Now in 7.27 to 7.30 are sort of very, very, very enlightening verses, especially 7.27 talks about why we came to the material world. This is a question that many people want to ask and want to know. What is the origin of the jiva? Where did the jiva, or why did the jiva come to the material world? So that question, the hint to the answer is given in 7.27. And then Lord Krishna says that there are all these various categories. He concludes the 7th chapter by saying that there are all these categories of people, my pure devotees, then sakama bhaktas, then demigod worshippers, impersonalists, and materialists. What happens to all of them and how they can make spiritual progress? So Lord Krishna sort of concludes the chapter with that theme, and then chapter 8 will build up from there. So next week we will finish chapter 7. We are running out of time today. We cannot finish it. We will finish chapter 7 and start chapter 8. 7.27 to 7.30, we do not have enough time stuff there to cover 2 hours. So we will definitely finish chapter 7 and we will start chapter 8. Okay, let us see if there are no questions on the chat. Any questions before we conclude today? So tomorrow in the Srimad Bhagavatam class, I will be covering a very beautiful topic. The topic, of course, is the offenses against the holy name. And we are going very deep into the discussion of the holy name. So I'll cover a very nice aspect. So those who are following the discussion of the power of the holy name and the offenses to the holy name, tomorrow is a session that you might want to, not miss. So please come to that and relish that. Anything else before we conclude today? Okay, if not, then thank you so much for all your questions, for your attentive listening, and for giving me this chance to read and share Bhagavad Gita with all of you. Thank you so much. Srila Prabhupada ki jai.
Thank you, Guruji.
Hare Krishna.
Hare
Hare
Krishna.
Krishna.
Thank you, Guruji.
Thank you.
Prabhuji. Hare Krishna.
Hare
Thank you, Prabhuji.
Hare
Thank you,
Krishna.
Prabhuji.
Hare